Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you're looking for jewelry that makes an impact on your self-care routine and your style, Empowerography would love to offer you a discount code to one of our exclusive partners, Quartz Canary Jewelry and Wellness Company. Please use code EMPOWER15 to receive 15% off upon checkout at www.quartzandcanary.com. Quartz and Canary is truly the place where spirituality meets style. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Andrea Di Paolo. She is the CEO and founder of Quartz and Canary Jewelry. How are you doing today, Andrea?
I'm good, Brad. How are you?
I'm very good. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of the Empowerography community and be a guest on the podcast and share a bit about your story and your journey in life. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you. The pleasure is mine. If I can, enlighten somebody one gemstone or one sentence at a time, then hey, why not? That's awesome. Exactly why we're here. Right?
I like that, one gemstone at a time. So, as I mentioned, you're the CEO and founder of Quartz and Canary Jewelry. When did you found and start the company?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about in physical reality, it was founded in 2016.
Okay.
That's when the world actually saw it, but I had probably founded it 2 to 3 years prior to that. My friends really had to deal with the ridiculous ramblings of somebody who kind of looked like the mad scientist. So I'd say that, it was really something almost like out of Beauty and the Beast, her father, who's kind of like that mad scientist creating all of these things and asking them all of these questions and showing them these inventions. That was me. So 2016 was the actual inception and birth of our very first line of jewelry. But I'd say that honestly, physically in my mind, 2 years prior to that. So I'll kick it back to 2014 was when it really started ruminating.
And what was the inspiration behind starting the company?
Well, I had I think a really, not to reference gemstones and jewelry, but a multifaceted inspiration. I had been a jeweler or worked at the winner's jewelry counter when I was, 18, and I really just couldn't. I had to get off the floor. I couldn't do it. I'm not a retail person in that sense. I'm a full service kind of individual. I like it, really mingling with the client. So I started at 18, really learning the ropes of jewelry, and then at around 23, it started to fade after being in the business for 5 years. And I went to go on my own physical journey of really learning more about myself. I had that proverbial moment in the mirror at 25. I was like, shit, I don't like you. What happened here? What about you needs to change, right? And eventually I started referencing back things that I had learned in the jewelry business and referencing and understanding new things that the spiritual community or the wellness community started teaching me. And then the two just kind of clicked. And I started trying to curate an energy of what could be a really cool gateway company that people weren't afraid to take on, self-actualization or self-awareness. So that's kind of how it started.
Very cool. Now, how did you come up with a name for the company? Where did that come from?
Well, see, that's strange. So I really am a firm believer that, whether you call it God, source, energy, the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to dignify it, if there's something that you are meant to do, they will not allow you to escape it. So I really stopped being in the formal jewelry industry. I was, designing engagement rings, diamonds, things like that. I worked at mappins jewelry.
Okay.
You guys are familiar with mappins peoples? Yeah. So I worked there for 5 years, and then I left at 23, and I was kind of in the full throes of my hotel career. And at 25, I had already been managing 2 properties in Vaughan, and I had somebody approach me about designing bridal jewelry, and it was like they would never let the tools leave my hands. So I was in the throes of designing all of these unique bridal pieces, and I tried to come up with a name, and this was kind of before the whole spirituality thing hit, that sounded luxurious, but also sounded affordable, right? Because
Right.
Canary, if you reference the diamonds, they're very rare and beautiful, and quartz is something that's a really common and affordable and recognized
Right.
stone. So that's how it originally came up. But once, the apex of my evolution hit the, art form that I had, is when I really understood that quartz was the master healer. And that was the stone in the spiritual community that kind of does it all. And Canary is actually not only referencing the canaries in the mine,
Yeah.
but, also the animal totem itself.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you alluded to and mentioned, you've had quite extensive work experience in the jewelry industry, working for various companies. Where did your interest in jewelry and in the jewelry industry first originate from? What drew you to that?
I'm a goldfish. I see sparkly things and I do. Being Italian, I believe that culturally it's something that's really ingrained in what we do. So for me, I really always loved jewelry. And to me, it was just these obsessions with trinkets. And what I think really enamored me about it was that jewelry, unlike a lot of other things, yes, so many things can have this kind of intrinsic value to us. And we can put these really beautiful and nostalgic or energetic ties to something that we own.
Right.
But jewelry is something that is so timeless and is almost like a treasure, right? People pass down things for hundreds of years in families. And, I think I kind of was always, I guess you could say, stunned by the energy that it carried and the beauty of the craftsmanship, right? To really learn and understand jewelry the way that I now am blessed to be able to understand it is a whole other ballgame. There's a whole language behind it.
Excellent. Now, you had also mentioned that you have done a fair bit of work in the hotel industry. Did the hotel industry work come before or after your work in the jewelry world?
It came after. Came after. Yeah. I was in the middle of shifting out of university, and I didn't have certain plans line up and work out. So what I did was, when I had the hotel industry kind of present itself, I said, okay, well, we'll run with it and see what happens.
Give it a try, right?
Yeah.
So was owning your own jewelry company a goal for you for quite a while? Like, was that always something you wanted to do after you got involved in the jewelry world?
No, not at all. I mean, the interesting thing, you would think that the standard answer would be like, yeah, absolutely. I knew I had to own one, right?
Yeah.
No, I've always been that person and that kid that kind of, my parents would even say that I literally would kind of go to the beat of my own drum. And as even a young adult, I was just trying to navigate what was best suited for me. I knew I had a passion in it, and I knew I had a talent that was really untapped.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily think that going to, the level of owning a business was in the cards for me. I was very shy to do that. And I had to get pushed quite a bit by my coaches and my family and friends to actually say, well, girl, when are you going to do this? When you die? Come on,
Get on it.
Get on it.
So where did your experience of designing jewelry come from then? You worked in the jewelry world selling jewelry and whatnot, but where did you learn about jewelry design and how did that come about?
Well, I have a tenacity for knowledge, and anything that I'm interested in, it was so apparent in school. If I didn't like the subject, I'd come home and I'd be like, okay, I passed this course. We've done enough. If I loved the subject, it was A+ across the board. It was like I had this ironclad memory for it. So when I had first got into the jewelry business and I was working at the Winner's Jewelry Counter, for example, I took the gemology and the books that they had and I read them back to front. And I started learning firsthand when I was in mappins and in the jewelry business, what diamond certification was all about and all the credentials. So I had 5 years to really absorb, terms like baguette or asher, trillion cut, shank, things like that would all basically really allude to that. So I think my talent came from seeing so many things that I loved and so many things that I didn't love. And I found that I actively selling jewelry made me understand the deficiencies behind really common jewelry stores.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I get you. I feel you. With Quartz and Canary, you've combined the healing arts, energy, and jewelry. Why did you decide to take this approach or route with your company and combine the three in the products you produce?
Well, that's part and parcel to my background. I was only really used to using semi-precious or precious gemstones and semi-precious or precious metals. So for me, that was one thing, quality over everything. That was number one. But number two, which is really kind of the number one, was that I was so exhausted with people looking at self-actualization or meditation or anything to do with wellness as this really kind of stereotypical, in a box, very antiquated hippie notion. And I was exhausted by thinking that, when I told somebody I meditated, I was exhausted by the fact that people thought I, dressed in a hemp and sat on a meditation pillow, and you know what I mean? And I think that
stereotype. Yeah.
And I think this is the problem. And then I think this is the problem with our spiritual community is a lot of people fall prey to that image as well. And I think that some people are puritanical in their nature, and that's something that they are. And then I think other people perhaps are just thinking that that's what they need to look like because that's the aesthetic that sells. So for QC, I really wanted to make it a company that was an aesthetic that just was, jewelry and fashion forward, quality stuff that people were proud to wear. That's why I combined the meanings in what I did. So that way it could be like this opening or a gateway for people to say, hey, you know what? I just read a quote, but I also bought a bracelet that's going to help me align better with, my meditation practice. And I don't feel ashamed. I don't feel, I think, scared to wear it to a meeting or wherever they're going, right?
Yeah. So has wellness and meditation and all of that amazing stuff, energy, has that been a part of your life for a long time now then?
Well, yeah, I'd say probably the last 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 years. I definitely, in terms of my group of friends and in terms of, I think even my generation was one of the first waivers for sure. And I was looked at as, you do what with chakras? What is this called? Your crystals speak to you. Excuse me. How dare you? What are you saying? So I got a lot of that in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I was always even like this as a kid, like my demeanor and, my ability to see through the BS of life, or my ability to actually transcend really kind of popular dogma or the way that we were pre-programmed started at, 16. I was challenging everything that you told me. So this was kind of in me to be this way. And then it just flourished.
Andrea, the rebel.
Yeah. Or young Yoda, whatever you want to call it.
Let's go with young Yoda. That sounds a bit better.
A little bit of two, a little bit of two.
So Andrea, I also read that you have a coaching and energy management practice. Can you tell us a bit about that and how you got involved in that world and how that whole thing works? And I'm assuming that all ties into QNC as well. Yes, it absolutely does tie into QNC. I've been this way or been, energetically or intuitively inclined for a really long time. And I don't necessarily identify with being called psychic or medium or anything like that. That's not me. I think that term, unfortunately, has been overused and muddled in the community. And sometimes it can reference not so positive things. So for me, I noticed that the practice was kind of formulating because people could see how intuitive I was at helping them select certain crystals or certain things that they needed, right? And the energy management that I do, and anything that's energy intuitive related is really about one of my fortes, which is kind of assessing somebody's energetic signature and where they are, because whether you want to call it energy or not, we kind of all have our own brand. That's right.
And I think that some people, for example, may have really potent energy, but they or a really potent signature, but they just don't know how to use it because they're stuck in A, B, and C. And that's where I come in to kind of transform. So throughout the course of me being involved with QNC and me really getting to know clients, I started getting referrals and I'm a really big believer that in order to support other people, you have to know yourself and how to support yourself inside and out. So once I kind of went through the vast majority of a lot of the preliminary journey that I needed to in order to kind of have my cup overfloweth, we got to where we are today.
Excellent. So with your pieces, do you create all of them here in Toronto yourself? Like, are you the woman who creates all of these pieces, or do you have other people working with you that also create pieces?
I'm in charge of designing everything. So okay. I will curate all of the designs. I have suppliers that are in LA. I have people that I work with in Italy. I have people that I work with in Texas and Miami. I have a studio in Montreal where the vast majority of what we produce is through Canadian based, and our philosophy is really, if we can keep it in Canada, let's do that. And that's not to say that, if I do require something that really is fulfilling a piece or an item that, the community really, really loves and wants, I have no qualms about going to the people that I work with very closely in the jewelry district in New York or LA or something like that. Right. But yeah, 2021 is going to be fun because I think that we're moving, I'd say, another 20 or 30% in domestic production into Montreal. Yeah. So now we're going to be at about 60 or 70% all produced in Canada, which is fantastic. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find your amazingly beautiful works of art to purchase if they feel so inclined?
quartzandcanary.com. So quartz like the stone and and canary like the bird.com. You can definitely check us out on, our Instagram, which is at Quartz and Canary, Facebook as well. And then if you have any questions, about me, that's a whole other different Instagram handle, so to speak.
Shameless little plug there. I love it.
Yeah, shameless tiny little plug where if people want to know more about the human finds or gemstone, right. I'm here somewhere lingering in the background.
You can find me, don't worry.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah.
So where do you get the inspiration for your pieces that you create? Where does that come from?
Well, it's really, because of the nature of who I am, I think that I feel before I think. And I think that feeling from a very visceral level or intuitive level is how I also think, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me, my inspiration could really be tied to my surroundings and what I'm feeling and what I'm ruminating, or, what's emanating or what I'm even ruminating with and saying to myself, like, okay, what has gone on in my life thus far that is really going to influence this collection. So the first collection was really deeply based on sacred geometry. Okay. And, the different geometric shapes that, we have, because there's typically only 7 that create, or the platonic solid, so to speak. But that was, inspiration number 1. And this collection, for example, everything about it was very celestial, very much about kind of something that was an alternative or higher being. And I think that came from me really having a lot of faith in myself. Yeah. And I had this transition or shift to faith in 2019 where I really realized that this person that I was trying to really work on, who it was me. I wasn't trying to work on anybody else. I was trying to work on myself.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. There was 2 others. No, just me. And I think that I got to the point where I started really having faith. I really had faith in my journey. I really had faith in myself. And I saw that I really, really, really saw with direct action that when you believe, when you perceive everything to be there to support you and protect you and to uphold you is when everything shows up the way that it should. And you kind of have these mini go-abouts of divine intervention or whatever you want to call it that kind of support your journey. So this collection was really, really based on, clarity, the heavens, celestial, anything to do with, something that was a little higher than we were.
Excellent. Now, do you sell and ship your jewelry outside of Canada as well? Or is it? mainly just Canada that your clients purchase from?
I'd say we're at about a 70% ratio here. So in Canadian, our Canadian clients are a huge contingent, but then I have clients in LA, in Philly, in Jersey, in New York that are very close to the company and will call me direct. Yeah. So we're expanding outwards, which is really, really beautiful. And other countries are starting to trust us. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah.
Did you not just have something big happen with the company? I remember you and I were speaking and you mentioned something about 1,000 pieces being shipped out.
Yeah. I think you and I were talking about that 4 years ago. I was schwitzing over my first trunk show where I had invited 40 or 50 of my closest family and friends, which went phenomenally. But 4 years later, to the birth date of the company, I was packing up a huge company collaboration with another brand that I was so honored and am so honored to have participated in, 1,000 units of individual crystal so that it could be gifted to people who are purchasing their product. And it has our logo and our name on it as well. And that announcement will be coming soon. So
awesome. That's so exciting. That's amazing.
Really big and really, really cool.
No kidding. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What is your 5-year plan for QNC? Where do you want to see things go with your company? What's your goal?
Oh, wow. See, and this is why I think I feel, I rarely have these 5-year answers because I fly by the seat of my pants a lot. I live in the moment a lot. Yeah. If I had to give you a 5-year trajectory, I would say that we're probably in 3 major cities throughout the world. We have 3 flagship stores. I'd like to see one in Toronto. I'd definitely like to see another one somewhere else in Canada, and at least one in the US, like New York or something like that. So I'd say we'd have 3 flagship stores that are really our big, areas where kind of people could visit and not only feel sound of mind, but, get a little bit of support and a little bit of style, because we throw that in there too.
Of course.
I would really love to see us start, expanding the movement for sure. And I think that, if I say 5 years, we definitely would have, I think, global recognition by that point.
And I can say I knew you when.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that this is in my mind or in my gut what I've always felt. I've always felt that QC was going to definitely reach more than just a local community.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's millions of people or we're reaching 100,000 people throughout the world is, to me, really irrelevant. I kind of look at it as I let source energy or God or whatever it is that, again, we want to call it, tell me where to go and tell me how to serve. And then I just show up and I do it. Yeah. So if it's, 100,000 or 100 million, I'm indifferent. I think my goal is just to reach as many people as I can and support them. Like I said, one gemstone at a time and one positive message at a time.
I love it. Where do you source your gemstones from for your pieces?
That's a really important and honestly very controversial conversation in the crystal community. And you have to really be aware of who you're getting these things from, and if they know the mines or if they know the people that own the mines themselves. So I'm blessed that I have had a lot of the best connections. So 2 of them are Canadian, and both of them have lived and worked in the facilities themselves in South America. So they know how everything is coming out. So it's obviously South American sourced, but Canadian distributed.
Right.
And then the other people that I work with are actually in Canada as well. So I try my best to support as much domestic business as I can.
That's amazing. I think that's so important that we do that as entrepreneurs as well in the businesses that we have dealings with, is try as much as possible to keep it local and keep working with and supporting our local entrepreneurs and companies and whatnot.
Yeah. And if I could just add in something about even supporting the local side of it. And I think that, maybe whomever is listening to this will kind of hopefully resonate with this. I have a client in New York who just, I love her to death, Michelle. She called me or actually messaged me this morning and wanted to work with me on a custom order. And she's supporting local, but she may not be local. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for her, it's about supporting somebody that she believes in that isn't part of these big flagship stores right now that are inheriting the vast majority of the wealth of the world. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we can support local in so many different ways, whether we're from that physical community or not. So that's just something I think to even just keep in mind, you know?
For sure. Yeah. Support the little guy. Absolutely.
For sure. Because you never know when that little guy is going to become a big guy.
That's
and that
right.
big guy is going to be able to do other things.
And Quartz and Canary will be the big guy in 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Our trajectory is saying 3 to 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, in that 3 to 5, should we become the big guy, then I mean, it'll be my goal to give back in every way that
Don't forget us little people.
Oh, are you kidding? Like everybody says that, and that's so not me. I don't want to talk to.
I know that.
No, that's not me at all. I love having nostalgic relationships for sure.
Absolutely. You can't forget where you came from, right?
Mm-mm. No, not at all. Not at all.
What would you say is one of the most exciting or inspiring parts of your job or your business?
The most exciting and inspiring parts of my job, first and foremost, is what my clients say to me.
Yeah.
When I get a message saying that the person freaked out because they saw a Q&C bag, or when a person was in desperate or dire need or in a darker time in their life and something we made them really uplifted their spirits, that to me is the thing that keeps me going and inspires me the most. At the end of the day, like I said, we're in Earth School, so we totally need to learn some things while we're here.
Yes, we do.
And it's not necessarily for me about, you know, what the final tabulations are. For me, it's always been about, you know, what the tabulations are energetically. And that's what inspires me the most. And I think also what inspires me the most is seeing what people really gravitate towards. And if I feel like a piece or, you know, for example, our Buddhas this year, our natural jade Buddhas are the top. There's been 3 or 4 pieces that I think have just blown it out of the water and people are gravitating towards them. So when I see something like that, that inspires me to serve the community, to give them what they need, to make sure that I'm providing what, you know, they are resonating with. So
yeah, absolutely. To date, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
I know, like that went so hard for me. So I'm going to say that, you know, our biggest win is definitely what we just did. That comes top of mind for sure. In this kind of situation, and I'm going to actually double on this if I can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So the situation here that we're dealing with globally, I think for me to have followed my instincts and met a friend and connected with this company that's supported us in the collaboration has just been absolutely one of those surreal moments where I said to myself, I actually did this.
Yeah.
And I really think that the other moment that was a really big high that also had a low attached to it as well was when I came to the realization that I could probably do this and make this my life's work and support myself. And it may not be necessarily easy off the cuff, but I could definitely get it done. And that kind of came around the time where my corporate, you know, ventures started departing, and, you know, whether they were done forcibly or through other means, I definitely think another high is the moment that I decided to believe in myself and believe in QC.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest ones. I would say that's an incredible feeling. It's like a huge weight. Again, like you said, whether it was through you doing it or whatever, the universe doing whatever it was, but it's like a huge weight being lifted off your shoulders when you realize, you know what? I don't need this shit. Fuck this corporate stuff. I've got a vision. I'm going to implement it and put it into place and do me. That's it.
100%. And I remember, so I was really blessed throughout my corporate career to have been scouted and headhunted by quite a few companies. So I started, you know, really being a game changer and figuring out an algorithm that really made a hotel kind of start hitting major strides in their sports and entertainment department when I was about 23. And then from there, it just kind of had this downhill, positive roll, so to speak. And by the time I had turned 32, I had realized that my passion was no longer in the hotel business, and I could no longer attest to the way that they did things. So I took this really interesting freelance job outside of it that was in sports and entertainment. I was that girl in Stan Smith's and a blazer in an arena talking shop and shooting the shit, but I had Texas pageant hair and my eyelashes were fluttering.
Texas pageant
hair, my name is Jolene, it was borderline that shit. And I eventually realized through really working hard for this wonderful company for, I love them all dearly, for 8 months, that I'm like, holy shit, I just became a full-fledged self-starter where I took a business, I took a demographic, and I made them hand over fist. And if I can do that for them and support, ourselves here on Earth School, which we have to, that's part of our journey here, is learning how to support ourselves,
that's right.
Economically, through food, through wellness, through exercise, supporting our mind, body, and soul in different ways. And money is one of them. Currency is called currency because it's an energy for a reason. I kind of realized at that point, holy shit, if I can do it for them, I can do it for myself.
That's
and
right.
that was that moment where I think the universe said, okay, perfect. You got where exactly we wanted you to get to. Now we're going to fuck some shit up, and you are just going to have to go for the ride and hope to God you hold on tight enough to come out the other end. And I remember saying to my mom, when things kind of started flowing down the pipeline and, globally we started shutting down and the world started changing immensely. I said to my mom, I go, you know what? I built everything with my bare hands. I know how to use tools. So if I can use tools and I have the spiritual wherewithal to get to where I am today, then I can get to the other side of this too. And it's not going to be pretty, but nothing that starts off as a masterpiece is worth staring at the rest of
That's
your life.
right. Or nothing worth having comes without a fight, right? I mean, you gotta put in the work. You gotta do it. And that way you also have a sense of appreciation for the work you've put in when you get to the other side of things. And it's an amazing feeling. It truly is.
Yeah, and it's like those consummate stories that you need something to tell. If you are worth listening to, especially in the entrepreneurial or spiritual wellness space, and you're giving people really some ironclad and really good shit to work off of, you have to have those stories. Like, I pulled 3 17-hour days. Things fell off of a truck. I had to find shipments. I was 3 days past the deadline. I was on no sleep. I had to get A, B, and C done because I knew this was the next big break. And what you do, and a lot of time when I do offer business coaching, because I do that for other brands as well,
right?
Is I say to them, you say yes first and you figure that shit out later.
That's
and a lot of people are like, what do you mean? I must have a plan. We must have a plan. What are you talking about? You're crazy. You have to have a plan. I'm like, no. I'm like, don't have a plan, because have you ever realized in life that anything that is planned only goes so much according to plan?
Yep, that's right. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Very, very sage advice. I love it. Fuck the plans. Just roll with it.
Well, I think that I have the tenacity to say, okay, this is the procedure that we should follow. This is how we should roll it out. And I'm very persistent. So I'm a make shit happen kind of person. And I think that's a quality that people can grow to, because I know that not everybody has that make shit happen energy. And that's okay, because if the whole world was make shit happen energy, I'd be a little scared. But I think that you put things into perspective and you understand that what you are putting out there and how you want to proceed with something, they usually give you a 70 or 80% win margin. So it's 80% of it will go your way. And the other 20%, if you're going to stress about it, well, I mean, I don't like gray hairs and I don't know if anybody else does. So fuck that. I'm just not going to. I'm going to figure it out and do the best that I can do. There's going to be times where we get stressed or nervous and have our moments, but that's part of it, right? That's
all part of the journey. That's what makes us who we are.
Absolutely.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
My intuition, hands down.
Yeah. Okay.
Hands down. I am like a dolphin. I have sonar. I can ping things from a mile away. I tell my clients, me and my clients all have jokes. You just pinged me, and it's honestly because I think that as human beings, our logical forces only really, really are able to perceive what is in this dense, very dense Earth-like reality. Our intuition is able to perceive, and this is what I did even in the hotel world, and they thought I was absolutely off my fucking rocker, but nobody would say a word to me because I was making them so much money.
Yeah.
So, to me, intuitively, I would always do things or feel things out or make decisions based on what my instincts would tell me and not just what was logic. Mm-hmm. So I think that in life, as much as I've had, a lot of people consider it almost like a gift and a curse because you can see right through quite a bit. I think that it's blessed me more than I've even understood it has, even in those moments where it's caused a little bit of pain or turmoil, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely intuition. That is my superpower, hands down. And my relatability. I think that because I'm such an open person and I am by nature this happy, quirky individual, I can pretty much talk to anybody on whatever level that they're on and relate to them from a place that they feel is authentic.
Very cool. What was a turning point in your life and how did it affect you?
I think like that age 25 really stuck out to me, but I think 29 was the biggest turning point in my life period. I had gotten out of a relationship, with an individual who we had, I think really felt like, that was the be all and end all here, but there was certain things that I just don't think in the long run would have been really healthy. And unfortunately what had happened was that disintegration of that relationship created this big ripple effect. And, me being bold-facedly honest about my story is a lot of people on that side of the fence didn't make it easy for me. And it was almost like I had trained for 4 years prior to that to be able to understand what I was going through in that moment, because that was my turning point. That was the moment where I decided to say to myself, I'm either going to be 29 years old, sit here, rest on my laurels and hope to God that life figures it out for me, or I'm going to be in some sort of emotional pain, work through this and grow to be the person that I would be proud of in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And it was a very treacherous time. I was not in a good place at all. It was a very dark place. I lost a lot of people overnight. I had already had dealt with certain other moments in my life, like going through really from a deep rooted spiritual perspective, why my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's when he was 33 years old, or when my brother was diagnosed. Yeah, when my brother was diagnosed with autism a year later.
Holy.
So I had already started acknowledging those things and working through that heavy shit and really understanding why my family was a very different family growing up and why I had to kind of go through, this twofold process where I really had to understand what was at play here. So after I kind of had gone through that big hump, this one started approaching. And that's when I had realized that everything that I had seen in my life, whether you want to dignify it suffering or not, is something that brought me to the point in a deep state of depression where I was going to either show myself what I was made out of, or I was going to prove to myself that I didn't get anywhere. Yeah.
Well, it is personal suffering. It is. I mean, these are trials and tribulations that you're going through and dealing with your family. It is suffering for sure.
Yeah. And for me, what I realized was that it was suffering in this very worldly sense. And why it wasn't suffering was that I had the two greatest examples that anybody can really have, and that I was probably more blessed than the average individual. And I say that quite boldly because my father was the man that told me that complaining gets you nowhere, and that if you have your limbs and you have your faculties and you have your mobility, you already have much more than some others.
Yeah, very true.
And my brother taught me that you don't need to say anything to be able to emote or to make somebody feel loved. He showed me what unconditional love really is. He's made me understand the importance that special needs individuals play on this earth, and that they are really the walking angels here that have no malice, no judgment, no pain in their heart for humanity. And they are the examples. So I have the two greatest examples around me of how I should live. So when I hit that rough patch and I really had to realize that there were certain qualities within myself that I was still kind of extracting and working out in my relationship that I had kind of dissolved at that point in time. I was at this turning roads where it was like, if you don't fucking do something, you are going to sit here in this garage, because I was with my parents at the time,
right,
and be in that dark hole and not do anything. And I remember a month later deciding that I had to set a goal date of November 20th to put out the line of jewelry of 2016. And that was my goal date, and come hell or high water, no matter how much pain I was in, I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I put another goal on myself, and I said, okay, June of 2017, I want to have, my first property under my belt. And I wanted to be able to say that I started my real estate portfolio, and I did it.
Awesome.
And yeah, and it was just a series of small wins that accumulated to much bigger momentum.
Beautiful. I love it. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
What makes me feel inspired or like my best self? If I had to tell you what that is in this moment, you know what it would be? The amount of love that I feel like I have for myself internally, and the amount of love that I feel that I have for others and others have for me.
That's amazing. I love that. That's a great answer. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that I finally have been able to say I love you, Andrea, confidently.
Beautiful.
And I really, really, really feel so much love around me. And it's, not everybody shows you love in the way that you want to receive it. But if you look close enough, there's so much love that is emanating around us. And that's what really makes me feel like my best self. And I think the other thing that really makes me feel like my best self is how much I believe. I am like a dog with a bone right now. I believe like it's nobody's business. I actually believe it like it's my day job, that everything that I feel I deserve and everything that I feel like I want to achieve for my good and the good of others is going to happen, and then some. And all of the beautiful things that we all want to see in life are going to come at the right time.
That's a great mindset to have, for sure. It's key. Mindset is so important, and that belief in yourself, because so often people get caught up in all the self-limiting beliefs, and we can't get the fuck out of our own ways. We can't get out of our own heads. It's tough sometimes. So to be able to accomplish that, I think, is a huge feather in the cap and something to be very proud of.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Honestly, I think that, like I said, yesterday on the Motivation Mondays live that we have, a lot of people think that manifestation or the art of manifestation is like, we just need to fucking get things all the time. And it's like, I'm manifesting a toaster. Well, okay. I'm going to manifest a car, and I'm going to manifest my area, whatever. Right. And these are all beautiful things. And that's not to pass judgment on others, but
no,
we're not actively manifesting things from a place of consciousness and a place of, I think, really loving what we already have. We're manifesting things because we think those other things are going to make us happy.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that, releasing those self-limiting beliefs and also releasing things that don't make us feel in our truest form, in the happiest form, is also about saying to yourself, I need and want nothing. This is good enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
How do you define success? What does that word mean to you?
Success is the epitome of happiness. I think that, success isn't monetized. I think that success, if I were to define it, is an accumulation of the wins that make you a better person.
Love it. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment means, to me, being who you really are.
Well said.
I think that, we are dealing with a lot of the shells of what we think we are, where we came from. But I think who we really are, empowerment to me is understanding what your soul is saying.
Yeah.
Over what yourself is saying.
Beautiful. What do you think is the most common reason for people failing or giving up?
Because they usually, and then this is something, and I'm going to say it this way because I kind of feel called to say it this way, that's something that people who are that have not reached a point of strength and within themselves, I feel like will give up quite easily. And it's usually the first time that they fail. That's the first time that anybody fails, they say to themselves, usually, I can't proceed. I no longer want to walk forward. So I think that's the biggest reason why people don't continue on is because they get one thing that kicks them in the ass and they say to themselves, well, I don't want to go through that again. That sucks.
It's a shitty feeling. I don't want to feel that again.
Yeah. It's a self-defeating behavior where, a lot of the times we have a moment, and failure is also based on perception. I think that's why a lot of people fail is because they see failure as the be all and the end all and as a word of embarrassment rather than an accolade of attempt.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, it's tied into that self-limiting belief shit, right?
Absolutely.
It's so self-defeating. It's terrible. It's a terrible mindset to have, and you just have to learn to get out of it and not let it hold you down and not let it stop you.
Yeah. And you have to look at failure as not necessarily defeat, but achievement.
No, it's a learning process. It's part of it.
Yeah. In order to fail, you have to have tried, right? As we know.
Right. That's
right. So effort is something that merits reward. And I think that universally sometimes, it's kind of like this whole thing that I was telling you about, this big achievement for QC. I always say, I cracked this whole joke, and I had one of my friends on the floor, and she actually works for QC as well. And I had her on the floor, and I said to her, I go, fuck, my lessons don't come like a little sprinkling of paprika. It's like bear spray. It is like mace that is being poured in my eyes. And they say to me, you know what, Andrea? Oh yeah, you want it? 17 twigs in your way. You're going to trip on 9 of them. You're going to fall down. You're going to get back up. You're going to be mangled by the end of this. But when you reach the end, you'll be like, wow, I went to war. And then it's kind of like this healing process afterwards where you finally made it. But I think that to that point, a lot of people hit twig number 1, or their lessons aren't like cinnamon or paprika and shit like that. And they're like, oh, this sucks. I'm not going to do it. And instead of, kind of covering the one eye that got sprayed with mace and just kind of overcoming everything, they stop when they trip on that first twig. And 9 times out of 10, the thing that I would want anybody to take away from this is when the universe is going to hand you something big, they want to see how bad you want it.
That's right. It's a test. It's a test. What would you say is one of your favorite quotes?
You know what? This sounds so ridiculous, but it was a quote that I wrote, I want to say probably 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. And it became one of my favorite quotes. And I know it's self-written, but I think it became
okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I think it really, it was a great reminder for me. And, I published it on QC, and it says it's never a loss. It's always a lesson.
I love it.
Yeah, because a lot of the times we always see the cup half full, or we think that because we went through something that automatically we're at a deficit. Not necessarily true. Lessons are really abundant. It's whether or not you're choosing to look at them as something fruitful or something that's lacking.
Again, it's all on how you view it. It's the lens you're looking through, right? It's perspective. It's, again, all mindset. So I love that quote. That's great.
Thank you.
Your words have been immortalized.
It's so funny. Everybody will stop me and I'll be talking to them and looking up, but something's in my brain and a quote will come out and I have to write it down in that moment in this really beautiful, you know what? I wish I could take credit for some of the shit that I say, but I don't think it's me. I think it's sometimes this wiser energy that kind of goes right through me, to be completely honest with you. And I know that sounds almost like Star Trek level shit, but I mean, I mean it in a way where I believe that, you know, sometimes we can tap into higher wisdom. And
Sure.
I remember even writing something down that I had to in the heat of the moment, which was, you know, God cannot offer you what's next if you do not understand what is now. And I'm 33 years old. I don't sound like a, you know, 79-year-old that's lived through shit. So, and so for me, when things like that come out of my mouth, it's just a reminder that I think that there's this higher wisdom that we all can have access to. And going through what I went through in the last 4 or 5 years has made me tap into that side and want to publish things that people feel inspired to read.
I think that's awesome, though. Embrace it. Love it.
Yeah, you know what, I'm definitely, I definitely do now. I think at first I was a little bit squeamish to put it out there because, you know, I was like, is this even grammatically correct? Or people can understand what the hell I'm saying?
What is your personal motto?
Oh God, have fun. Just have fun. You know what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's exactly, that about sums it all up, right? I mean, we're only here for a short time, so why not enjoy the time you're here?
Yeah, there's that funny saying, which, you know, we're here for a short time, not a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
there's a song in there somewhere.
There's a song in there somewhere. You know, I again, this goes back to some writings that I've or some things that I've written rather, and I wrote down once, what if the secret was that we're just supposed to have fun?
There you go.
And you ask, and I think that's what I've adopted in life, is that I'm just going to have fun with it, and I'm just going to smile. I'm going to have fun, and it's an experience, and whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's part of the art of surrendering to what it is that your journey is about and allowing your journey to unfold as it should. So you learn, you bask, you feel bliss in the moments that you need to, is just rolling with it and having fun.
That's right.
And,
embrace it. Just do it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there's going to be moments where you want to listen to Rage Against the Machine on, you know.
Or Metallica.
So, like 100%. Like you're just going to crank that shit up and be like, I don't want to hear this right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's pertinent, right? It's
for sure.
Growth.
For sure. If you're writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
You know what? A journey to gratitude, for sure.
Love it.
A journey to gratitude.
How would you like to be remembered?
You know what? Honestly, as the girl who gave so much to others, or as the woman that gave so much to others. And I would love to be remembered as somebody who put their heart first, because I think sometimes people are criticizing, oh, you use your heart more than you use your head, or you know, like kind of like that Bobby eat your vegetables, don't you know, like kind of Bobby's world, kind of, you know, that kind of thing. And I think one of the most beautiful things that I feel I've grown to understand about me is that my heart is just as powerful as my head. So I would love to be known as the person who thought with that first.
Beautiful. Early bird or night owl?
Ooh, both. I have trained my body, but you know, if you ask me, my innate characteristic is to be a night owl. My innate characteristic is to be so nocturnal. But you know, the early bird has come through a lot of motivational habits that I've deployed in my life for me to be able to perform at the level that I need to perform for myself and for others. Yeah.
What's the first thing you think when I say the word future?
Fun. I think fun. All right. Fun. And the words like fast comes to mind. I feel like the things that have been happening around me carry such a force that, fun and fast for sure.
If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
I'm hilarious to the point of like a default sometimes. If I came with a warning label, that's not really anything to be, you know, scared of. If I came with a warning label, it would probably be that I am intense. My energy in itself, I'm a very calm person by nature, but like warning, intense energy up ahead, because I think what I emanate is somebody who's very self-aware and also somebody who just really takes life by the horn, so to speak, right?
Yeah. If you could teach the world one thing, what would that one thing be?
You know what? Smile more and say less. Smile more and say a lot less, because sometimes we say far too much. Mm-hmm. And I think that smiling and just sitting in a moment of happiness, wherever that happiness exists in your mind without any speech attached to it, can say so much more than you trying to convey something that's inauthentic to you. So smile more and say less. All
right. I like that one. If you had a theme song that played every time you walked in a room, what would that theme song be?
I can't even. You know what? I feel like it would be probably Biggie Smalls' Juicy, for sure. Because if anybody knows me, they know how much I love like 90s rap as well, and just nostalgic, hip hop. And Biggie Smalls is one of my favorite. So for me, that hook in that song rather is something that I think is so awesome. So yeah, that would be the one. That would be the one.
What is one of your favorite entrepreneurial books?
This is going to be bad. People are going to be like, oh, crazy. I don't have one.
Wow.
You know what? I don't have one. One of my favorite books that I have is there's a few of them. Dr. Wayne Dyer has a book that you'll believe it. You'll see it when you believe it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my favorite entrepreneurial books, actually.
All right. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Listen to no one and do what you want. Because I think that in this world, we're always looking for validation, and we're always looking for somebody to tell us to do the right thing or to go in the right direction. And I think that I knew the right direction more than I maybe anticipated. So kind of, listen to no one and do what you want. Obviously, respectfully speaking, mom and dad, that's not what I mean.
Well, I think that's the second thing. I think the first thing is that, again, as we mentioned and spoke about earlier, is that we have to learn to get the fuck out of our own way, get out of our own heads. But secondly, tune out all that external noise. That's the second part, I think.
Yeah. Like, if I had to tell my younger self and look at little Andrea, I'd say to her, stop looking for approval.
Yeah.
Sure. Because I think that we get stuck in those mindsets where we are just lovingly looking for somebody to say what you feel is right. And that's the power of intuition. And that's the power of self-awareness, is that you're your own fucking guru. You don't need anybody to tell you anything.
That's right. Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what do you think that last 30 seconds would sound like?
Oh my God. I think I would tell people to continue to love one another, because we are more connected than what meets the eye, and to always laugh, because without that we have nothing. Mm-hmm. And I really would say, I think I love you to everyone and everything. And that's another thing that I do that's a really deep question when I think about that. One of the things that I think that I do that either sets people off or is an interesting thing that people enjoy is I say, I love you. Mm-hmm. And I say, I love you to people that, I've known for 2 months or 2 minutes, Yeah. And I think I'd say I love you quite a bit, and let people know how much they mean to me, even if I've met them for 30 seconds. And I think that the I and I love you is very important as well, for the record.
For sure. Amazing. Andrea, thank you so much for sharing a bit about your story and your journey here with us today. You are an absolute inspiration, 100%. Conversation's been amazing. Your journey is so inspiring, and your energy is just incredible. I can feel it through our chat here, through the whole thing today. It's just been absolutely incredible. I want to tell you that I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here and, again, be part of the Empowerography community and share your story here with us today. It's so inspirational and so amazing. And I know you're going to do amazing things with QNC, and that 5-year plan will definitely come to fruition for sure.
That means the most. And thank you so much for having me on the pod and allowing me to share my journey and my story, including me in this lovely community, and for believing in me and many other women. I appreciate you just as much, my friend.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day, and we will talk soon.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brad.
Take care.
You too.
Bye. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.